Hello, welcome. This is Jennifer. I'm really glad you're here. So I don't know about you, but there are many times where I want to give someone a gift card or money as a gift, but I want to make it a little more special. So today I am sharing with you ideas for incorporating money or gift cards into your handmade cards. I have several different variations for you, and these are all things that you can do with supplies you likely already have on hand. So I'll start out by showing you some graduation cards that I made for my son's friends that have a slot for money. And then after that, I have two different ideas for incorporating gift cards onto your handmade cards. So let's go ahead and get started with the graduation cards. These cards have a window on the front where you can see the money, and then when you open it up, the money's on the inside. I thought it'd be fun to kind of personalize these graduation cards in the color of the school and the year. So I'll do a window on the front that says 2023. Since I need to make a few of these cards, I'm creating a template so that I can make them quicker. This piece of cardstock is 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. Now I know that's not a normal size, but I felt that this size really fit the 2023 dies that I'll be using. I drew some pencil lines just to help me get the centering a bit better. I die cut the numbers 2023 using the Altenew bold numeral die set. I use this die set and the alphabet that goes with it a lot. Now these are just temporarily adhered here so that I can create a template again with this piece of cardstock. Now I'm placing the die right on top of the die cuts. They'll pop in place, and then I'll run that through my die cut machine. I do have to do this in 2 steps because I need that number 2 die twice. So I'm just popping these over those die cuts, run it through my machine, and that will create windows in that bluish template that I'm creating. Then I will repeat that process for the 2. Now you don't have to do a year here. You could do a name. You could do the word grad. If you're doing like a wedding card, you could do the initials or the monogram of the people getting married. Lots of different things that you could do here. You could even just do a shape die. All right, so now I have a bunch of pieces of green cardstock cut to that same size. These will be my card fronts. I'm holding those 2 together, lined up because they're the same size. And in the die cut openings on the template, I'm popping in the dies. They'll fit in like a puzzle piece. Once they're placed in, I'll run that through my die cut machine, and you'll see that that cuts the 2, 0, and 3 in the same spot on the dark green as it is on our template. And then, of course, I'll repeat that process for the other 2. I find this template to be really helpful, even if you're only making 1 or 2 cards, and you'll see that as we go. Okay, so now we have our card front, that green piece, with the 2023 cut from it. Next up, I have a white side-folding note card that I made that is 4 inches by 6 inches. Again, I just felt that size worked well with the 2023 dies I'm using. You could do whatever size you want. I am placing that template on the front of my note card, and I have the note card open. I am popping in the dies into the template die cut openings, and I'll run that through my die cut machine. That will cut the windows for the 2023 at the front of our note card, and they'll line up nicely with that green card panel that we'll add in a moment. So you can see how this template is really handy, and so I can make a bunch of cards this way also. All right, so now we have that green card front panel and our note card, and the windows line up nicely. So this will allow us to have a window for the money that will be on the inside, but it'll show through when the card is closed too. Next up, I have a piece of acetate that I cut to be slightly bigger than that 2023 area. And I'm putting adhesive on the front of my card and placing that acetate onto it. Now this acetate is nothing fancy. It's just something that I had saved from some clear packaging. It can be thin, it can be thick, it really doesn't matter. I'll place that onto the adhesive. Then I'll take my green card front, put adhesive on the back of that, and place that on top of our card. So the acetate will be sandwiched between. Now you could totally skip that acetate if you want to. However, I wanted the center of my O to be included, and so it was helpful to have that acetate window there. Totally up to you. You could even step up this card design and make that window a shaker window with the money in the background. All right, so now we can add the center of my O, and I'm placing that right on the front, and then the white center that we cut from the note card, I'll glue on the inside just for a clean look, but you could skip if you wanted because really no one's going to see this part in the end. So at this point, I have a fun window card. You could do a lot of things with this, but I want to add some money behind it. Here's a little tip for you. You can go to the bank and ask for a crisp bill so it looks nicer in the presentation if you want to. I just like doing little things like that just to make it a little more special. I have cut a piece of white cardstock to be 3 3/4 inches by about 5 inches tall. I put glue on the left and the right and bottom of that, and I'm placing that over the money, making sure not to get glue on the money. But now I have a pocket where that money can be, making sure some of it's hanging out there at the top. And then when you look at the front of the card, you'll see the money through that window. Now, when I give this card to the person, I'll fold this money down a little bit so they can definitely see that the money is there and they can easily pull it out. And by the way, when they remove the money, the card will still look nice because it'll have white showing through those windows. To decorate the rest of this, I'm using a new die set from My Favorite Things called Iconic Grad Dies. This has everything you need to make a little diploma, the word grad in the shadow, and a graduation hat. The word grad would be fun to use as a window for this card design, but I decided to go with the 2023. So I'm just using the graduation hat. I cut it from 2 different shades of black cardstock and glued it together. Now for the little tassel, it's tiny. I wanted to make sure I had enough adhesive on it. So what I'm doing is putting some double-sided adhesive from Altenew on the back of a yellow cardstock scrap. You can see I keep all sizes of scraps. This was perfect for this case. Now when I die cut this, it'll have adhesive on the back of it already. This adhesive is great because you can move it around, but once you're happy with the position, you just use a bone folder or your fingers to really press it down and you can be sure it'll stay put. Now, if you wanted to, you could create your own little tassel from string, but I had to make 7 or 8 of these cards, so I wanted to keep it a little bit quicker. For the congrats, I'm using the Concord and 9th Bravo die set. This is a great die set that goes along with the stamp set. You can see the stamp set there. It would be great for teacher cards, birthday cards, anything. But I'm just using the congrats that comes in that die set. Now I cut that from gold cardstock and white cardstock, glued it together for dimension. Then I will use liquid adhesive on the back of that and place it right onto our card between the 20 and the 23. Now you definitely could use any kind of sentiment here. You could use graduation. I thought the congrats was nice and worked with this design. By the way, I'm using Gina K Connect liquid adhesive in a fine tip bottle. It's a great adhesive for absolutely everything and when you're mass producing cards. I did want to add some accents to this, but honestly, these cards are going to some kids that I didn't think would really match up with bling. So I decided to instead die cut some stars from yellow cardstock and scatter those around, kind of filling in that bottom right corner a bit and tying it in with that graduation hat at the top. I used the leftover of that scrap, so it already has the adhesive on the back, so I can easily place it. Once I'm happy with where all of the stars are, I will use something, I'm using like the end of a kind of bone folder here to really press them in place and they will stay secure. Now at this point, I wasn't sure if I wanted to add a sentiment to the inside. I wanted to ask my son because they're for his friends. This is the My Favorite Things ConGRADulations stamp set. Lots of great graduation sentiments here. And so I might add that to the inside. I thought I'd share that because a lot of people ask. You could also add a few stars to the inside if you wanted to, totally up to you. So now that I have one card made, I went and I showed it to my son. I wanted to make sure he thought that his friends would like it. Thankfully, he said he loved it and was really excited, which, you know, from a teenage boy, that's pretty incredible. So it's time to make more. Now I made them all the same except one thing. I did stamping on the background. I used 2 stamps from Hero Arts. These are both new. On the left is the rough dot, and on the right is the positive script. I like the look of that rough dot. I just think it adds so much fun texture, but that positive script has a lot of great sentiments that are they're just kind of a background sentiment, but they're perfect for any kind of encouragement card. So this worked great. So I did a few with each. I have my Misty stamping tool along with the sticky mat, and I have my first Hero Arts background stamp. I'm placed my green background underneath it, and I'm stamping it with a dark green ink from Concord and 9th. This is Evergreen. Now I haven't cut the windows on these yet. What I'll do is stamp on all the backgrounds, then go cut the window on all the backgrounds and kind of do a mass producing assembly line with all of these. If you're interested on how I do that, how I do a bunch of cards at once, I will link to a video where I give some tips up here in the top right corner. But right now I'm just stamping those backgrounds, and I feel like this adds a lot of interest. This rough dot background is really cool. If you like mixed media, it'd be great, but it also just adds a fun texture. You'll see me use it more. All right, so now I have all my pieces cut. I have my black cardstock pieces ready to die cut the little graduation hats. I have my gold and white for the congrats. I have my note card bases, my backgrounds, and the yellow with the adhesive on the back to cut the stars and the tassel. I have all of these pieces in my little tray here that I've talked about in previous videos. It's actually a condiment tray, but it's great for kind of organizing things as you go. I'm going to take all of this upstairs so that I can do these with my kids around and get these done before graduation time hits. So this is how I stay organized and really is helpful when making multiple cards. And by the way, I have some other dies here in cardstock to make some baseballs, which you'll see later in this video. So really, I'm trying to make the best use of my time and my energy to get as much done at once as I can. So here is a look at all the cards I made. You'll notice one of them is done in red and black. That's because one of Lila's former babysitters is graduating from college. So I made a card in that color, so it was more personal for her. Here's a look at the two different backgrounds that I used, the positive script on the left and the rough dots on the right. I love the look of both of them. And you'll notice I used two different colors of green cardstock because I just dug through my scraps drawer to find green cardstock there and use them for the cards. So I have a few different shades. Now, if you wanted to, you could put more than one bill in that little pocket. You could do 220s. You could do whatever you want. You could do a gift card if you got a little creative with the pocket size. But I thought this was a really creative way to include money. And after asking around, I found that's what a lot of graduates really want right now. And by the way, because these cards are a bit bigger, I'll either use an A6 envelope or a 5x7 envelope. I'll link to those below. Okay, next up, you're going to see the cards that I made for my son's baseball coaches. I wanted these to hold some gift cards on the front, so I thought I'd share with you the process that I went through for this design. I've done many different gift card holding cards in the past, but this one's definitely the easiest. I'm using the Waffle Flower Baseball Dad die set. I thought the baseball design on this was great. I created it from white and red cardstock, and I created a thanks sentiment using the Altenew Bold Thanks die set, which is a favorite of mine. I cut the layers for the thanks from my son's school colors, so I really felt that kind of personalized it even more for his coaches. I'm gluing the thanks right on top of the baseball. And by the way, that baseball is 2 circles thick so that it has some strength to it. We're going to be tucking some gift cards behind it, so I want it to be nice and strong. I also have a note card that I've already put together that is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. And I stamped a Falling Stars background stamp with white pigment ink on a craft cardstock panel. And I added that to the card. To hold the gift card is really easy. I take a strip of cardstock, this is just a scrap, and I wrap it tightly around my gift card. If you want to include 2 gift cards, put the 2 together, wrap that cardstock tightly around it, and then you can cut the excess off. You just need 2 little flaps on the end of this. So this is what our gift card will slide into behind the baseball, holding that gift card in place. I'll put some strong adhesive on those 2 flaps. You want something strong here. This is strong liquid adhesive. You could use double-sided tape also. And then I'll place that on the back of my baseball. Now, I'm going to show you another way to do this in a moment. This was me kind of testing out the design and making the first card. I'll then kind of figure things out as I go and know how to make the other 3 cards pretty quickly. I'll then slide the gift card back in. It's better if you wait till it dries, but I'm impatient. Put glue on that white strip and then place it on the front of our card. This is nice because it holds the gift card in place to keep it from sliding out, but it does easily remove. And the person can definitely see there's a gift card there so they won't miss it. All right, now after coming up with this first design, I need to make a few more. And actually for these, I wanted 2 gift cards per card. So you'll see me hold 2 gift cards together and wrap that scrap around them. Again, you want to wrap that tight. The tighter you wrap it, the better it'll stay in place. The looser you wrap it, the more likely it'll slide out. You may want it to slide out so the person doesn't miss it. Totally up to you. So I've wrapped that scrap around it, and this time I am going to put glue on those flaps and place it directly onto my card. Now you'll notice I changed up the background stamp that I used on these. I like to change them up a little bit. I think it makes it a little more interesting for me as I create all these, but you can do them the same if you want. The background stamp that I used here I love so much. It's from Blot Shop. It's called the Starry Night, I believe. You'll see me use it again later in this video. I stamped it on craft cardstock with white pigment ink, so it just adds a subtle interest to the background. So here you'll see the different cards. This one I still need to get a different gift card to slide underneath it, but you could also skip the gift card if you want and keep it a simple card design. And here are the 4 I made for my son's coaches. Now you could add bling to this, you could add shimmer to it, but the guys that these are going to aren't really the bling or shimmery type, so I thought I would leave it as is. You'll notice that because I included 2 gift cards, I offset them so both of them are showing when the person opens up the card. Also, I made that baseball nice and strong by doubling up die cuts. It'll make it look nicer and it'll keep it from getting squished with those gift cards behind them. This is one of the techniques I use most often when giving a gift card with a card, but I'll link to my other favorite method, which I used last year for the coaches' gifts. I'll link to that video up here on the top right. Didn't want to do the same technique again because they're going to the same people, but that's also worth checking out if you need more ideas. All right, now it's time for creating some shaker cards with gift cards on the inside. I hadn't done that with teachers in a long time, so I thought it was time to do so again. And I will be giving these to all of Lila's teachers and all of Colin's teachers. And yes, I know I go overboard on teacher gifts, but it's really important to me. I think teachers are amazing, and it's something that I save my time, energy, and money to be able to do each year. It's just important to me. Now, I think it's best to see one of these completed cards first. This has a shaker pocket on the front, and when you open it up, there is a flap, and the recipient just lifts up the flap and they can reach in to get the gift cards out of that shaker pocket that's on the front of the card. Now for the shaker pocket, I'm using card sleeves that I store my completed cards in before I send them to someone. So I have a lot of those on hand. However, if you don't have card sleeves, look at your packaging. Some packaging from some stamps or dies that you've purchased in the past would work great for this. You just need a clear sleeve, and you'll adjust that background cardstock piece that goes inside of it to whatever size sleeve you have. And you'll see this in a moment. Now, the card sleeves that I'm using are about 4.5 by about 5 3/4 inches tall, close to that. So I cut a piece of cardstock to be close to that width, 4.5 inches. And then I cut it to be a bit shorter. This is about 5.5 inches tall. So this will fit nicely into the sleeve, which you'll see in a moment. So that's the size I chose, but you might need to adjust it based on whatever sleeve you can find in your stash. Now I'm stamping this amazing Blot Shop background stamp on craft cardstock with sand ink. I stamped it a few times to make sure it showed up, and I just think that is great for a teacher or crafty background. So I stamped a bunch of backgrounds. Most of them, again, are 4.5 inches by 5, but I did cut some to be square. So those backgrounds are 4.5 by 4.5. So let's start with this example, and this is using the background I just created. I'm going to slide that background into my card sleeve. If you are interested in the card sleeves I use, I have them linked below in my YouTube description. They're the same ones that I store my A2 cards in. Sometimes I mail them in them. They're great for this also. So I'm sliding my background in there. You'll see it fits the width nicely, but it is tall on the top. The card sleeve is taller than the cardstock piece. That's okay, we want that. That'll create the flap on the inside. Once we have that tucked in, it's time to decorate the front of the shaker window. I am using this great die set from My Favorite Things. It's called Back to School Dies. It has a stack of books, an apple, a bus, a pencil, and a crayon. For this example, I'm using the books and apple along with a thanks greeting from the Altenew Versatile Greeting die set. If you've watched my videos, you've seen me use this many times. Now I want to make them look like they're stacked up on the front of my shaker window. But it's kind of hard to do that directly on the shaker window. So here's a trick that I did. I took a thin strip of scrap cardstock. I glued the apple at the top of it, then the books underneath it, and then the thanks on the bottom. This connects all of those die cuts so that I can treat it as one die cut getting glued on the front of my card as opposed to the individuals. This will also help me to get it centered on the front of my card. When you're using a bunch of die cuts like this, sometimes it's better just to connect them so you're not fussing with the individual ones. For this one, I wanted the thanks to be popped up, so I put a little foam tape piece underneath that. Now it's time to add this to our card panel, which has that sleeve on it. So I'll put some strong double-sided tape all over the back, some more foam squares under the word thanks, and then add it right at the center. Now you could definitely simplify this if you want to. You could do a simple die cut in the center. Later you'll see I'll do this with just a large apple on it. It really is up to you. I like to put a lot of time and effort into these, but I will say it is kind of busy once you put the shaker bits in there and the gift card. So if you want to simplify this part, you definitely could instead. Really, this hobby is about doing what you enjoy doing. So if you enjoy simpler, go for that. I sometimes like to go over the top, and that's just what makes me happy. Now I can add that shaker sleeve to the front of a note card. I cut my note card to be slightly bigger than that craft background in our shaker sleeve. So this note card is 4 3/4 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches tall. You can make yours whatever size you want. Now I'm putting some double-sided tape on the back of my shaker sleeve. Notice I'm only going in the area where I can see the craft cardstock through it. Now my sleeve has this like release paper piece up here from where you're meant to seal it. So my double-sided adhesive didn't want to stick to the sleeve because it was on that release paper. So I needed to remove that release paper also. And that has some stick, which will also help to stick it to our card. Now, I like to use double-sided adhesive whenever I am gluing down something slick like this because I don't have to wait for it to dry. If you use liquid adhesive here, it would take a bit of time to dry, and I'm pretty impatient. Now notice, this sleeve is still wide open at the top. You want to leave it open. I will now place this onto the front of our card. The flap is still hanging off the top there. You want that hanging open. That is what allows you to add your gift cards in there and make them easy to take out. No matter what size sleeve you use, just make sure there's a big flap up there. Now you can add any shaker bits that you want. I do recommend adding bigger shaker bits as opposed to like glitter because the person will be reaching in here to get out the gift cards and you don't want to accidentally glitter bomb them unless that's what you want to do. I just went through my stash and chose some older things, mostly ones that are a little bit flatter and sparkly, but it's up to you. If you're giving this to someone who you don't think would love bling, you could definitely instead add little tiny star die cuts from cardstock. You really could put whatever you want in here. So I put a mix in each of them, and then I added in the gift cards that I want the recipient to get. I usually try to get gift cards to local places if possible, or I look at what the teachers have said they appreciated in the past. Now to close this off, I use a piece of washi tape. I fold that flap down tightly, put the washi tape on there, and then I have the card ready to go. I will write a note in there to the recipient saying just remove this tape and reach in and get your gift so that they are aware it's there in case they missed it when they get the card. Now in some of them, I use little hearts, just depending on what teacher it's going to and kind of what I feel would fit them best. And I changed up the different gift cards on the inside. Now, again, that greeting there is the Altenew Versatile Greeting die set. I did black glossy cardstock for the thanks and white for the shadow. And I added a tiny little glitter heart to the apple for some of the teacher cards. I feel like that little glitter heart just adds even more sparkle to this card. This is supposed to be kind of a celebration all wrapped up in a card, a really big sign of appreciation, and I'm hoping that I hit that mark. I will give this in a 5x7 envelope. There's plenty of room in there for this custom card design. I do recommend, again, when you fold that flap back and tape it down, to make sure you do so tightly so that when they get the card, the pieces don't come flying out. Make sure you have a washi tape that will seal nicely. Now, you'll notice I have little Post-it notes on mine. That's because I'm trying to remember which card goes to which teacher. I did do some different thanks sentiments. This is the bold thanks die set that I used earlier in this video. On some of my backgrounds, I left plain, and some of them I used an apple background stamp from Hero Art. So I do change them up a little bit, but really this is all about making sure you have a good message on the inside and a special card presentation. This is also a great reminder to have 5x7 envelopes on hand. So if you want to make a bigger custom size like I did here, you'll have an envelope for it. I have made this kind of card using the packaging from a stamp set, and it makes a nice 5x7 shaker card. Now for my next set of cards, I did the same width as before, 4.5. But instead of making the card a little bit taller, I made it square. So the background is 4.5 by 4.5, and the note card is 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. This time I used the bus dies from that Back to School My Favorite Things die set that the other die cuts came from on our previous cards. I love this bus. I think it's so cute. And I used dark green for the background because that is our school color, dark green and gold. So I felt that worked best. Now this time I used tinier shaker bits, and that's when I decided not to use those again. I feel like the bigger ones are better. They make less of a mess, but it's totally up to you. Again, I fold that back tightly and I put a piece of washi tape on it. And there we have our square shaker cards. Now this one only has one gift card on the inside, but it's up to you what you put in there. You could also put money in there, a check if you would prefer to do that. It's just about that fun presentation. Now this background is the Altenew Starry Sprinkle background stamp. I used that on my baseball cards earlier. Again, I stamped with white pigment ink just to make it show up a bit more on that background. And by the way, if you're going to use white pigment ink to stamp on your background, make sure you heat set it before putting your shaker card together because it may want to smear. Pigment ink takes a little bit longer to dry. Now, since this is a square card, I do have a 5.5 by 5.5 inch square envelope for this, but I could have put it in the 5x7 if I preferred, but I had these on hand. Now, in some of them, I put some red shaker hearts on the inside, so I added a red die cut heart to the thanks. This felt a little Christmassy to me because of our school colors with the red, so I didn't do that on many, but I think it works out anyways. I think I made 11 with this design with the bus on the front because I thought that bus was so cute. On some of them, I even put a little heart in the bus window. But really, you could use any shapes you want here. Say the recipient, the teacher you know likes flowers, do flowers on it. Really, you could do whatever works for that particular teacher. All right, so I did create a few with a large apple on the front, just changing things up. This apple is from a Concord and 9th die set. They have a lot of apple-themed products that would be great for teacher cards. Here I just created the apple and added that Altenew thanks right across the center. This is, again, a square version of this card. I added my shaker bits, my gift card, and then put the tape across the front. Now, I know that my cards today were focused on cards for teachers, grads, and coaches. However, you can use these different designs for different occasions. It could be a holiday card. Just put maybe a holiday tree, a Christmas tree, or something on the front. I plan to make a wedding card for someone where I put some flowers on the front in the colors of their wedding and then have a check inside of that shaker window. So really, you can change this up for whatever you need. Before we go, I wanted to show you some of the other products that I considered using for these in hopes that it inspires you to use something you may have that's similar. This is the new Hero Arts Luggage Lowercase alphabet set and die set. Now, they had this out a long time ago. They've re-released it. I love this product. You could do the word grad for the window card that I did at the beginning. The person's name you could do for a money window card. Use your alphabet dies creatively to personalize your card. If you're doing teacher cards, you have the Sunny Studio notebook dies. There are 2 different variations. And there is this great A Cut Above stamp set. There are coordinating dies. They create these realistic looking scissors and pencil. I'd definitely be using this for back to school cards. I hope this inspires you to kind of step up your cards that have gift cards or money just to make them a little more special and a little more personal. If you're interested in the things I talked about or used today, I have them linked below in my YouTube description. And at the end here, I'll link to a couple other related videos that may be helpful. Thanks for watching. I always appreciate the time you spend with me, and I'll see you soon.